Today, I want to welcome Robert Brill. He's the CEO of Brill Media and a media buying agency that focuses on precision advertising for business growth. His company's been honored 10 times across the Inc. 5000 and the Financial Times 500. Robert is a member of the Forbes Business Council and Fast Company Executive Board, where he writes about improving user experience, business growth strategies, data targeting, local advertising, and white label media buying. Additionally, he speaks about advertising, marketing, AI, and entrepreneurship to business owners across the country. He's a proud father, husband, dog father, Dodgers fan, and a newly minted, I have no idea what this is, but a newly minted Inter Miami fan.
Yeah, Inter Miami is the football team, the soccer team that Lionel Messi is on in Miami.
Wow, but you are not in Miami. You're out on the
I'm in
West
Los
Coast.
Angeles. I watched the World Cup last year, or now 2 years ago at the end of 2022, and it blew my mind watching um Messi for Argentina play against Mbappe in France, and then I watched Brazil earlier with Neymar Jr. and I found out that Neymar, Mbappe, and Messi were all on the same team on Paris Saint-Germain. I've never watched soccer in my life, and I just instantly became such a massive fan. Love it. I'm a big Messi fan.
Wow. I mean, it's interesting. So there, obviously you would think, well, there's certainly a soccer team in you're in LA, right?
I'm in Los Angeles. Yeah, there's LAFC,
Isn't that where Beckham played?
quite possibly. And Beckham is actually an owner of Inter Miami.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So what was it about soccer that kind of captivated you?
My dad was into soccer and he tried to get me involved in it, or not involved, but like paying attention to it when the World Cup, the FIFA World Cup came to the United States in I think 94 maybe. And I was moderately interested in it, but at the end of the day, it didn't stick with me. And so a lot of people I know, pay attention to soccer, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get into it. People say I look like Messi, but like the non-athletic version of Messi. So go look him up, especially when I had a few pounds down. I looked more like him. But anyway, um, so I started hearing his name a lot for the last few years, and it was just the World Cup final was absolutely magical. Not, and it's not just me saying that; it's people who are like the commentators, people who are talking about the World Cup, because you just had like France would score and then Argentina scored, and France and then Argentina, and then it was a tie. Then you go into overtime, France and Argentina, then you go to a kick out or shootout, and it was just a magical moment in soccer history that people are saying is one of the best or the best World Cup finals, to the point where people are saying if this is your first time watching soccer and a World Cup final, it never gets better than this. Like, okay, this is the best.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's neat to see top athletes performing in any sport, but it's such a demanding sport.
Yeah, boy. Yeah.
This goes back a few years, but I used to work with this Colombian named Diana, and it was World Cup time. And this was far enough back that wasn't assumed that the US would be a contender in the World Cup. The
Right.
US wasn't really recognized as, being able to field a decent team. And Colombia didn't make the cup. And so Deanna walks by my office one day and I say, "Hey, Deanna, I've been watching the World Cup. I keep looking for Colombia. Where are they?" And she looks at me and she's like, "I hate you." And and so, well, Deanna, if you would quit shooting your soccer players, maybe you'd make it to the cup.
Oh, geez. That's hardcore.
Yeah, because what happened was a year or two earlier, one of the Colombian players accidentally kicked the ball into the goal, scored on themselves, and lost the cup. That was the reference.
Whoa.
And Her response was, that was an act, about him being killed. She's like, that was an accident. I'm like, what, he trip and fall on a bullet? And
He fell out a window.
yeah,
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
no, he was legit shot in the street. And so that's hardcore. That you want to talk about hardcore is when you live in a country that when you lose the World Cup, not only are you shamed, but you're shot in the street.
Well, I mean, look, I think if, that's, we're America's very America centric, but like for the world, that's the world's game.
Yeah.
Like hands down. It's not baseball, it's not NBA, it's not NFL, it's soccer. And it's really fascinating to be part of, to watch that. Like it was really cool to watch. I think it was US versus maybe Iran during the World Cup. Both of them ended up losing because the finals were Argentina and France. But there's like this really big, like there's this heaviness to these games about pride and success and competition. I think is really interesting.
Yeah. Well, so let's shift a little bit, talk about what you do. You have a little bit of a storied career. I mean, you graduate college, you get kind of a dream job in advertising, and through that you meet the Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah. So so rewind about a year while I was still in college. I took out, so I was working at Washington Mutual, which then became Chase, but I was working at the call centers in Washington at Washington Mutual, and it's just the call bank teller or whatever. And I my parents paid my way through college, but there wasn't any excess money, so I had to work. And I went to my mom and I was like, look, I'm gonna have to take out a loan because I need to get some other work experience that's more related to what I want to do. And she was like, I don't know if you should do it, hemming and hawing. But we all agreed that I should do this. So I quit my job at Washington Mutual and I got an internship at Universal Music. So I went like 5,000 in debt to do that. Um, and basically I had this really great job where it was called guerrilla marketing, but now it would be called social media marketing, where you just post in forums and you create a fake persona and you tell them about the albums you're working on, like The Killers or Method Man or Hoobastank with The Reason, that album that came out. You're supposed to market the business and then and then create reports about what you're doing. Through that job, I met a lot of talented people from, so I'm in Los Angeles. I went to Cal State Northridge, but met people from USC, from Occidental, from UCLA, really talented people. And we just had the time of our lives. It was the best 9 months from a party and fun perspective that I had in college, I think, or a very different experience. And through that, we got someone knew someone, and our job was to go down to San Diego to, I think it was called the Coors Amphitheater, and sell merchandise for a group called Evan and Jared. Well, we got there late, so we didn't even get to do the thing we were there for. But we were there, we could go backstage, and so we ended up having dinner with the Black Eyed Peas, which was absolutely the best. I was such a big Black Eyed Peas fan. So just hanging out with Apple Diap and Will I Am and their bassist and Taboo and all those people, and Fergie was there too, but she was off doing something else. I I can't tell you what she was doing, but it wasn't hanging out with the stars. I'll tell you that. Hanging out with the fans. So we're Black Eyed Peas. We were having dinner with the Black Eyed Peas. Saw them like a month and a half later at Pepsi Smash again, just hanging out, which was a thing that Pepsi put on. Then once I got this job at Universal McCann at the agency, somehow I connected with a woman who was this woman who was the girlfriend of Taboo, which is one of the members of the Black Eyed Peas, and somehow I got invited to go to the press conference of for one of their new songs, which I'm not in the press, like I'm just a guy who knows people. And so like over the course of like 4 or 5 months, I had these three really cool interactions for the absolute biggest band that I was just absolutely raving mad over. And this was in like late 2003 into 2004. It was just the time, like some of the coolest experiences I've had. But professionally, the best experience I had is staying in advertising and marketing, and working at Universal McCann. They let me go early that day so I could go hang out with the Black Eyed Peas, the craziest thing. But like the reason why I work in advertising and not the music business is because it was the people at Universal McCann who created this really safe, inclusive environment for us to learn, to get to understand the advertising business and to use our creativity to create really fun and interesting advertising campaigns. So if music is cool, advertising is better, in my opinion.
Yeah. You know, it one of the interesting things about LA. I used to before I used to market chips for mobile phones, and I'd fly through LA all the time on my way to Asia. And it was funny. There's something about the vibe there where you run into people. I mean,
Yeah.
and for me, I'm too stupid to realize who I was, running into. And like one time I just flown in from Asia. I'm in the Admirals Club at LAX,
Nice.
and I get out of the shower, go up to the bar to get a Coke, and there's this scrawny little tattooed guy standing next to me. He has like a chain, his wallet's on chain. I'm just like, how did he get in here? And I go sit down, I hear somebody whispering, and I hear the name Tommy Lee. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
is that Tommy Lee? And they're like, yeah. I was literally like 2 feet away from him.
Yeah.
And I look back over and I see this ginormous dude standing off to the side watching him. And
That's his bouncer or what?
yeah, that was security. And but I have other stories of passing through LA where you just rub shoulders with these people that are
Yeah.
icons. And
Yeah.
is that, I mean, does that feel normal? Does that ever feel boring?
Um, you know, it's not boring, but it's common. Like it's cool. Matthew Perry, who I saw him once at a movie theater just catching a movie. Um, and it's one of those things where it's like we'd go to parties and I met the actor who played Hero in HIRO in that one darn it show, Save the Cheerleader, Save the World. This was like again 2004, 2005. I forgot the name of the show now. It was a superhero show. And I met him once at a party. I was like, "What's up? What have you been up to?" And I was like, I have nothing to say to these people. So like I don't really say much. And I feel like it's so at some point, how many times can you say, "Oh, I'm your biggest fan. I love your work." Like that's just so it's such a non-valuable thing to say. So where I do think where I do get excited is being in bigger rooms with more interesting people. So if I'm in the same position, but I'm there because it's business, like I went to a conference once and I got this really great photo with Busta Rhymes. Like I started trying to rap his music, which I couldn't like pull out of my brain in time. And I'm a big fan of Busta Rhymes, big dude, massive human being. But like that was cool because I was there on business and I ran into Busta Rhymes at a music studio. Anyway, it was fun. So I get excited and thrilled when I'm there for a professional reason and I meet someone that I can be more on their level because I'm there for work.
Yeah. No, I get that. That makes a lot of sense. So if we start carrying the timeline forward, so obviously you got a job in advertising and um, an environment where you learned a lot, which is incredibly valuable. I think a lot of people, I think it's hard when you get that first job. I think it's hard to sometimes appreciate what that job is doing, the springboard it's creating for the rest of your career.
There's a few things there. Sorry, you didn't ask a question, but I have so many ideas that the first, the common trend in advertising is you work at the big agencies, you're not going to get paid a lot, but you'll learn a lot, and then you'll recoup that money when you get more senior positions at smaller agencies, right? And there's a lot of people who I've worked with who were very anxious to get out of Universal McCann. I was like, dude, you're getting like we called it the MBA. Like I was learning things that on the job experience that I would have never gotten had I worked at another agency because it was such a great environment. And my bosses were just incredible and my peers were incredible. And I mean, for the first 6 months, I had no idea what was going on. They were literally paying me just to learn and not to
Mm.
screw up. Like, don't add anything, just don't take anything away. That was the goal. So I was like, okay, I got to learn really quickly to get up to speed here. But not all businesses are good for people out of college. There's plenty of places I've been where people out of college don't succeed, but it's not because the people out of college are bad at their job. It's because the business isn't set up to set the junior person up for success, and that's a big part of, you know, if a junior person is listening, they're just out of college and they're not having success at the place that they're working. Chances are, it's the business's fault for not setting you up for success. And I think that's a very important part. And that's important to recognize as a business owner or as management of any level that, you may not be in the right position to hire people who have very little experience. But for the places you can get that experience, the big companies where you just do one task repeatedly, learning, putting in those reps, the common theme throughout my career is this idea that you got to put in your reps whatever you're doing. What I put in my reps on was ad servers and learning how to traffic out ads so that, you upload the ad once and then 20 different publications get the ad. So learning that work, which is completely redundant at this point now, probably in many cases, but learning that work is so important because you end up becoming an expert on the fundamentals. And the fundamentals, even to this day, I'm 42 years old. I have a business. All we sell are the fundamentals. We're going to do the fundamentals for you effectively. And that's what's so important about business, learning about the fundamentals and getting a chance and opportunity to learn that. And you're not going to learn that stuff in school.
What's really interesting, something that I see in marketing, but just more broadly in life, is the latest shiny object comes along.
Yeah.
And people are looking for this kung fu triple flip backspin
Yeah.
marketing tactic that's going to just make you successful. And what I find is, if you consistently master the fundamentals, you will beat most people in the game.
100%. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You just got to work hard.
Yeah.
I'm not the smartest person most people will ever contact, like talk to. I just understand what I do and I work hard. And those are the types of people I'm looking for to work with us, and the types of clients that I'm looking for are the people who will work hard to achieve their goals. And at the end of the day, like, smarts isn't always the path to success. It's the work, it's the grit, it's the determination, it's the ability to get through things when times are tough. That's what drives success. And the people I bet on, we just hired for a search engine optimization specialist. And the person I hired, I met a lot of interesting people, a lot of people who have worked for companies. And out of all those people that I hired the one who spent the last 7 years on Upwork being a freelancer
Hmm.
because he understands how to work hard. He's got that entrepreneurial spirit, and he can probably be more, um, have more determination to figure things out than the people who just work for other companies. There's nothing wrong with spending your entire career working for other people. There's nothing wrong with that. But in the situation that, when I was hiring, I saw the best talent in the person who you know, had done it for himself and understood how how you can succeed when you partner with people and be a little bit entrepreneurial.
Yeah. Well, and I like that. I think obviously I'm stating the obvious here, but hiring is probably the one of the most important skills, if not the most important skill, to being a business owner. If you want to be a business owner that's more than just yourself. I don't know. What's your take on that?
I mean, is it a skill? You're just, you know, I'm of the opinion that hire you gotta do your due diligence when you're hiring, but fire fast. Like, if you
Yeah.
hire the wrong person, you fire the wrong you found the wrong person. It's not good for them. It's not good for us. I've had people that I've hired who were so out of their realm. I just made a bad call. They're
Yeah.
so out of their realm, and we have to let go of those people fast because it's not, they are 100% not happy in the job. I know it. They know it. It's not working. You got to let go. But for the people, so is it a skill to hire? Yes. Am I very good at it? I'm probably just as average as everyone else. Um, I think I have a framework. I get excited about people, and I see opportunities in people. Like I hire people. I'm like, man, this could be our next, they're going to ascend to like big levels in our organization. And the proof is in the pudding. And you either do good work or you don't do good work, and it's okay. It's okay
Yeah.
when you get hired and the company is not the right fit. And it's as much the company's fault as it is, yours. It's shared responsibility. The situation may not be right, but I think when we do hit it right, oof, we get some amazing talent inside our business that have stayed with us for a long time. The other part of success of hiring is the systems and structure that you use to get people to stay. And you get people to stay in the business by, number one, standard operating procedure. This helps them understand when people are when your responsibility starts and stops. Redundancy, so that even if there are mistakes, other people can catch it before it becomes a problem. And then, of course, we hire people with lots of experience to do our work because our organization, it has not had lots of success hiring people out of college.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I guess the thing that kind of triggered me to say that was when I was listening to what you said about hiring this SEO specialist,
Yeah.
who you saw put in the reps on Upwork, and it reveals something about the person. I've got somebody that works for me that I hired about a decade ago, and then she left about 5 years ago, and then came back a couple of years ago. And when I first saw her resume, I saw something that kind of in the same way that you saw something, you saw that Upwork experience and you saw that as valuable. The thing that I saw was um, she was born in St. Petersburg, Russia,
Hmm.
moved to California when she was 13.
Yeah.
And, the little bit that I know about, raising young girls is um, 13 is probably absolutely the worst age to take a girl and change her country, change her school, change her friends, change her language, change everything
Yeah.
in her life. Every form of stability in her life, except for her parents, was taken away at
100%.
13, and she was able to figure out life.
Yeah.
And I thought, I need that skill. I need somebody in my life that I can lob things at and say, Elena, can you figure this out? And she does brilliantly well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, you hire people for who they are, and the skills can come later.
Yeah.
It's who you are intrinsically that matters.
Yeah. So your agency, it's been around for a while, and how big is it? And all agencies, for those that don't know, are a combination of W-2s and freelancers.
Yeah, so we're 20 people. We're full timers. Um, and our job is to buy advertising space. When you think about advertising, you think there's people who do the creative work. So if you think about Mad Men, that whole show was about people who do creative work to make the images, shoot the commercials, write the copy that it inspires people. Our job is to take that creative work and make sure it gets seen by the right people in the right environments at the right time to generate a lead or a sale.
Yeah. And I heard you on another podcast, a friend of mine, William Attaway, and he one of the things you said in that is to be successful, you have to be able to simplify and make things clear. And I love the way that you just took that. You took what's a mysterious system for some, and you just made it amazingly clear. So
Thank
you
you.
guys, someone else is doing the creative, you're taking that and you're making sure it gets in front of the right people.
Yeah. I mean, I've been on podcasts where at the end of the show, they're like, wait, what is media buying? I'm like, oh no, the whole audience probably has no idea what I'm talking about. So I try to interject with some very simple definition of what I do because it's actually far more familiar to most people than they realize. But we like to spice things up with jargony terms that no one's heard of.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I know I have a mentor that his primary medium is radio.
Mhm.
And apparently that's a extremely complex media buy to do. Uh,
Yeah,
and the people that do it well do it exceptionally well.
yeah,
And the and they take a cut. And so that's, if you're doing marketing, at some point you have a media buyer
yeah.
in the equation. Now maybe they're blended into another job, maybe they're blended and it's a little less clear, but at some point there's somebody who is playing the role of media buyer. And it's an important role.
Yeah, and it's important and it's also surprisingly sophisticated of a job that a lot of companies and a lot of individuals think is very easy. And the analogy for me is, look, when you're a business or an individual and you're running Facebook ads, the question is, how much experience do you have running Facebook ads or Google ads? Like, I know you have a lot of experience browsing and scrolling, but how much experience do you actually have buying advertising space? And like, no, you just press a button, you boost it, and you're running ads. And they don't even realize that's advertising, but it's ads. Or they understand the back end of Facebook Business Manager and they're buying advertising space. And it's like, are you sure you're actually spending advertising money to grow your business? Because it sounds a lot like you're spending advertising money to learn how to advertise. They're two very different things.
Yeah.
So the people who are spending their own money running ads on Meta and Google and wherever else are often spending their money in ways that are less than desirable, that will yield them very little or no results. And they keep spending the money and they don't even realize it because they think they're going to. There's ads running right now on TikTok, which is promoting TikTok, saying, hey, if you don't have views on your videos, are you stuck at 300 views? Run ads on TikTok to get more views. And I'm sure they're getting a lot of solopreneurs or small businesses running ads on TikToks. And the fundamental premise right there is completely wrong. Likes, comments, and shares and video views don't pay the bills, sales do.
Yeah.
So by running an ad with the goal of generating a sale of a video view or a like or a comment or a share, you've already lost the game before you spent your first dollar because your expectations are wrong.
Yeah.
So, and that's just the start of it. Like everything that all the time and effort and creative development that you're doing, all that work is being amplified in the exact wrong direction.
Yep.
And when you have a problem with your hand and there's something wrong, you go to a doctor because they're the expert. When there's something wrong with your car, you go to a mechanic. When there's something wrong and you don't know how to grow your business with advertising or just general marketing, you should not do it yourself because chances are you have higher value work to do. And the lower value work can come to the experts like us that are dedicated to that. So talk to an expert.
Well, and one thing I think happens is somebody, especially if you're spending any amount of money, Facebook or Google will have a rep reach out to you and say, hey, I'm an expert on Google ads and Facebook ads. I'm going to make sure you maximize your ad spend. I literally know no one who has gotten anything useful out of these reps. They've told them, I think at Google, a lot of times, they would hire somebody, just graduated Stanford, summa cum laude, and they wanted to work at Google. And their first job at Google was telling somebody who's been running ads for 5 years how they should run their ads.
Right. And they're
And
on a script.
yeah,
And it's they know something, but the challenge with Facebook, the reason our business exists and prior businesses like mine where I've worked at other agencies, the reason why we have a value is because Facebook still doesn't properly communicate anything of any value that's going on to their platform. Like when they make changes, they just make changes. And like consumers, marketers, business owners just kind of like have to figure it out after the fact. I mean, this is going back to like 2010, 2011 when I was running Facebook ads and buying Facebook. And it's like, well, we have this new feature called the news feed. What is it? I'm like, oh shoot, Google. What's going on the news feed? How should marketers use this? There's no communication unless you're spending probably tens or hundreds of millions of dollars annually. Those big advertisers, they get communication, they get salespeople who are highly experienced salespeople, the best of the best, that are giving you those big brands the insights that they need. But for everyone else, you're on your own, which is why we have a place in this ecosystem to provide that value and bridge the gap.
Yeah. Yeah. And so just to kind of hammer this point home, you guys are expert ad buyers. People
Yeah.
bring you the creative, you make sure it gets in front of the right eyes.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say about 1% of our revenue is creative and 99% of it is media buying.
Okay. So I want to shift gears a little bit and ask you about something. I'm just interested in your perspective because, the hot buzz phrase of this time is AI. I'm
Mhm.
I'm waiting I'm waiting for Starbucks to introduce AI brewed coffee. You know,
So you mean the replicator
yeah.
from
And
Star Trek?
yes, yeah,
That's
exactly.
what that would be, right? 3D printed, maybe? Anyway, sorry, digress.
Yeah, but I look at it and I'm just like, um, I'm interested in your perspective. Before I throw out my perspective,
Yeah.
the thing I'm seeing is everybody is celebrating. They're like, oh, we finally have someone to write our blog articles for us. It's called AI. So we're going to flood the zone with AI generated content. As a matter
Yeah.
of fact, we're going to figure out how to hook it up to our customer service chat and get AI to run customer service as well.
Right.
What's your take?
Look, I think AI is exceptionally valuable. When we talk about running ads on Meta, I'll get to the more everyday accessible component, but let me first address AI for Meta. What we're doing right now, the best practice to run ads on Meta is to train Meta's artificial intelligence to find your best customers. So what used to happen with Meta was you target keywords or interests, lookalike targets or retargeting, and you serve up ads and you get very granular and create a lot of different targeting segments. And it's a never-ending treadmill. What we're doing now is we're giving the targeting broad advertising targets, age 25 plus, gender, men and women, location across the United States. And it's finding for us the agency owners. So we're targeting 140 million people, but we can only really talk to about 40 to 80,000 people. How is
Mhm.
it even possible that we spend money and generate leads that are profitable? We do that because we are actively training the machine learning algorithm to find your best customers. So that's massive. That's how every mom and pop shop should be using Meta to grow their business. They're not because they don't want to pay any money for the insight, but that's the insight. Now, how are we using it? How are other businesses using AI? Look, I look at AI and I think the best use case for AI is to be an accelerant. It gives you back 20 to 60 minutes of your time on any given project. Need to edit an already written text to make it more grammatically correct or more approachable? AI. So you're writing it. You let AI or Grammarly or someone make the text easier to read. That's a great use of AI because the content originates from you. Um, we write SEO articles, right? You write an article, you have it rank for certain keywords, and then when people are looking for hyper local advertising agency, our page comes up. We do the research on AI, I mean on Chat GPT. Now, do I need to do the research? I know the information. I know that the five top benefits of retargeting ads for businesses. I can tell you that. But what I need to do is spend 20 to 40 minutes thinking about how I'm going to structure the article, what I'm going to talk about. And by the way, there's two other points of the total of seven that I just wouldn't even think of. So instead of doing research for 20 to 60 minutes, I go into Chat GPT and I say, what are the top benefits for a business to use retargeting? a bunch of different points. I get an outline. Then I take that outline and I write my own ideas to support each heading. And that's the page that gets published to our website. It is never a good idea, in my opinion, to have unadulterated AI content go onto the marketplace when it's written content. Never. Google, I believe, will eventually penalize websites that push out AI-driven content. So we will never write fully AI content. We will never write partially AI content that we edit. We will write our own ideas ourselves and use AI for research. I think it's valuable for the development of imagery. Holy cows, on Midjourney on Sunday, the amount of the beauty of the images that were created astounded me.
Yeah.
Especially, I had been off Midjourney for maybe 3 months. I go back and these images are just glorious. So the reason AI to me is important is because it's getting smarter while we are ultimately going to decline. As we get older, cognitive abilities decline. As it gets older, AI becomes very smart exponentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where we are with AI, in my opinion.
No, no, I like that. And I agree with that. You know, I published 2 books last year, and I don't think AI could have written either book. I
Oh,
really don't. You know, and there are parts, there's a lot of parts of the books where I would literally spend, if I were to try to have AI write it, I would literally spend probably twice as much time writing the prompts as it would take just to write it myself.
right. I mean, AI is never going to replace an expert. What AI is going to do is make experts more valuable.
Yeah. Yeah. Robert, this is an amazing conversation. We've gone longer than we normally have, but that's just because you're sharing such powerful insights. And I wish we could go longer.
That's very nice of you, Craig. What I would say is if my wife were to say the same thing, she would say, Robert, you talk a lot.
No, this has been good. This has been good. It's been very insightful. Appreciate you coming on Leaders and Legacies. If somebody wants to reach you, and I hope they reach out to you, how did they contact you?
Yeah, our website is brillmedia.co, B as in boy, RILL media.co. My email is robert@brillmedia.co. And when you go to our website, click on the Start Now and share your information and set a time to talk with me, and we'll talk about your marketing strategy.
Excellent.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.